What's up, guys? How you doing today? It seems like we have some announcements for the new Star Wars movies, and we have dates as well, which is pretty exciting. Disney dates new Star Wars movie, shifts Deadpool 3 and entire Marvel slate, delays Avatar sequels through 2031. Disney is shaking up its release calendar, adding a new Star Wars movie and Mona live-action adaptation to the schedule and delaying the next 3 Avatar movies by a year. At this rate, the 5th trip to Pandora will be released in 2031. That's in 8 years. With the addition of a Star Wars film in December 2026, it means that 2 movies set in a galaxy far, far away will be released in that year. A separate Star Wars movie has been pushed from December 19th, 2025 to May 22nd, 2026. Another Star Wars film is set for December 17th, 2027. Disney hasn't clarified the premise of any of those installments. So let me say that again. 2 Star Wars movies in 1 year. We have never had that. I mean, you can maybe count Rogue One and Episode 8, but those weren't really in the same year, per se. Again, here's another article. Disney on Tuesday shuffled plans for some of its biggest franchises. 2 Star Wars films are planned for 2026, and one was pushed from December 2025 to 26, which means that they're both going to come the same year. Another was added for December 2026. The studio hasn't announced details on either untitled production. So we're going to be getting 2 Star Wars movies in 2026, which is pretty much 2.5 years from now, maybe 3 if it's going to be in the summer. Got to be probably on tail ends of each other, 6 months apart, I would imagine. And then the third one going to be 11 months after that. This is pretty crazy. We've never had this at all, even when George Lucas owned Star Wars. And so to this, I say, what happened to Kathy's plan of taking their time to release Star Wars movies? They said they were going to really slow down and maybe have them, 2-3 years apart. Maybe she was just talking about, one single story, like a trilogy or something, having those be years apart. But this is pretty wild. I mean, that's 3 Star Wars movies, if you think about it, in probably a year and a half. Now, this could be the Rey movie, this could be the Dave Filoni movie, and it could be the 25,000-year-old Star Wars Origins movie, the Origins of the Force. Now, my thoughts on the placement of these is probably that the Origins of the Force will probably come 2027, and the Rey movie will probably come 2026, and then the Dave Filoni movie will probably come 2026. I believe the Dave Filoni movie will come before the Rey movie, so that we finish the timeline with the Mandalorian and all this and that, and then we could potentially see Grogu as he would be about 90 years old by the time the Rey movie comes out. And so this would maybe help tie in all of the stories by the time we get to the Rey film and show us, a new villain. Perhaps, I assume there's going to be a new villain. I don't think it's going to be Rey just hanging out in desert planets and chilling. I would hope that there's going to be some sort of a antagonist. And we have rumors that it's going to be played by Idris Elba, who's a great actor. I really support him and I like the guy. But as for the Rey movie, not really too interested. I'm wondering what the premise will be, beyond just Kathy Kennedy saying that we don't know if the Jedi should still be around at this point. But hey, I guess we'll see more information as it comes. Here's another article by Yahoo Sports. They say Variety reports that a new Star Wars movie will be released on December 18th, 2026. It will be preceded by a separate Star Wars movie on May 2026, which was originally set for December 19th, 2025. So that's interesting. We'll get one in May, and then we'll get one about 6 months later in December. Now, earlier this month, Taika Waititi did give fans an update on his new Star Wars movie, confirming the script is still in development, and it seems like he's taking a lot of time regarding that story, whatever it may be. Speaking to Hollywood Reporter, the filmmaker revealed that he's got a really good idea for the upcoming project, but he's still struggling to piece it all together. And I would say, that's probably the most difficult part is, bringing it all together and how is this going to make sense and, good. But having a good idea is really the most important part, I think, because from there you can just branch off and create whatever you want. And so Taika says, I've got a really good idea for it. It's just with all films, it's the middle part. You're like, what's going to happen? And this is how George started Star Wars. He doesn't like to start things right from the beginning or the end. He likes to start things in the action, in the middle of the story. Not to mention, of course, that the CGI didn't exist yet at that time in 1977 when Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope did come out. So he started in the middle. He couldn't do the, the clones and the fights on Mustafar and all this stuff. So he started with 4, 5, 6, made that happen, and then, came back 15 years later to make Episode 1. And then, of course, in 2012, had plans to make the sequel trilogy, and he had already begun Episode 7 when he sold it to Disney. And so Taika goes on to say, and then you look at all of those films that are so great, you're like, well, I guess they can't meet some smuggler with an alien sidekick. And for me, this is great because it means that he's not going to just rehash old stories and, just punch in the same old formula that we've always gotten. And what they're doing now with video games and Star Wars, not just Star Wars games, but video games in general. There is a father figure and then there is a son or daughter figure. Last of Us, God of War, and now with the final, spoilers, Jedi Survivor game at the very end. Probably what Jedi, the third one is going to be like. And then, of course, with the shows and all that, like Mando and beyond. So anyways, that's the update for Star Wars movies coming out. It seems like, basically, we've got 4. We've got Taika's movie as well, but that's, to be dated. We don't know when that's really going to come out. But so far, we have been confirmed 3 movies. One is in May of 2026. One is in December of 2026. And then the other one is in 2027. So maybe again in the summer of 2027. So really 3 Star Wars movies like 6 to 7 months apart each, which is pretty good. That's pretty cool. We've never had that before. I just hope that they're going to be really good films. I hope that they're going to have one consistent outline and one story that's, written from the beginning to end, and it'll all make sense, and it'll all be very true to George Lucas's Star Wars, because so far we haven't had a lot of that, in my opinion. Unless, of course, Dave Filoni is behind it all, and then it's pretty much perfect, I think. And that's why I'm really excited for the Ahsoka show. I guess we'll see what happens with everything, but I'll be along the ride with you guys, and I'll be sure to make it as fun and entertaining as I can, and to break down as much as I can. So until the next episode here on Star Wars Theory, remember the Force will be with you always.